So, welcome to Feedback for the week of June 23rd, 2010, the week after E3. How are you all?
Tired.
You sounded like you had trouble getting that out yourself.
Yeah, it's one of those. I was like, hey, E3 went great. What? Yeah. My brain kind of hurts. I have yet. I think tonight I'm going to touch a game. But
You make it sound so dirty.
Matt and I used to joke. Let's introduce the panel. Matt, Kyle, Sterling McGarvey, Abby Happy, Patrick Klepek. Matt and I used to joke years ago, back in the Tech TV days, that we'd go to E3 and we'd come home and we'd just hate all our games because it was like the new kids you can't play with yet. You know, at your new school where it's far away.
Matt and I just don't want anything to do with video games for like 48 hours.
Now that's the whole thing, is that I'm like, just if I hold the game controller, I'm thinking about games, which means I'm thinking about E3, which is I'm thinking about experiences that made me tired.
Well, I would have been, you would have been disgusted, but after Thursday night, I got home at 2:30, and I was gonna go to sleep, and then I remembered, hey, the tournament patch for Super Street Fighter 4 went live on Wednesday.
Oh my god!
I gotta play it, so I played Street Fighter till about 5:30 in the morning. And then I came to work at 8:30. I was not exhausted at E3 this year. It was reinvigorating to me.
Well, that's good for you.
I don't know.
Were you reinvigorated?
I don't know that I was reinvigorated. I feel like E3 was this blur of video games and me waking up early to get World Cup scores all like mashed together.
Yeah, that was about the most unfortunate
week.
timing for one Sterling McGarvey as there ever could be, as you are one of the biggest soccer fans.
It's like
in the States.
Every like nerd event has interfered with all of my side passions this year. This is the ultimate culmination of it.
Abby, reinvigorating or exhausting?
Exhausting.
Right.
I think I slept for like 48 hours, and the only games that I've had the energy to touch has been like Lego Rock Band and Toy Story 3, which I almost have 100% completion in.
Yeah, I got to
Even
have.
in Toy Story?
I love the toy box
It's
stuff.
actually it's really solid game.
I know.
I don't think we'll ever discuss
You
it
and
too
your
much here, but if
100%.
you have kids out there, Toy Story 3 is quite a good game.
No, I slept for so long.
Patrick,
I'm so tired.
reinvigorating or exhausting?
Both, and the E3 as a whole is just a mishmash of confusing signals, which hopefully we can try and things that were really invigorating and things that just.
It was like trying to date that one particular girl in high school, and you're hypersensitive to everything she's doing and don't know how to actually take in all that information to figure out if she likes you or not.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right, Abby?
Let's start by, I guess one of the more curious things about this E3 is there is a lot of hardware, none of which involved a new console. I don't think there's much precedent for seeing something like that in years past.
I mean, this would be the year where we would have seen a new Xbox, a new, probably, or at least a talk of new hardware from everybody. But because of the Wii, that's thrown off everything, and so we're seeing stuff like Move, 3DS, which is new hardware, but is and isn't. KINECT, like all these things are taking the place of new hardware, and it's just sort of add-ons, which I think is proving to provide some interesting difficulties to all the hardware manufacturers as they grapple with essentially promoting what is a new piece of hardware, but it's an add-on for their old pieces of hardware.
And it was funny how so many things seem to kind of take the training wheels off this. It's like KINECT is the hardcore motion controller, Move is the real way you use the Wiimote, and then you had Rock Band introducing now we've got strings and guitars, we're going to teach you how to play guitar. It was like you've had the plastic stuff, and now we're going crazy.
Now it's like in 300. Like, go off into the woods and fight something with your bare hands, and then we'll decide if you can be a gamer. Let's start with Move. I think the general assessment, not just of critics, but of just people who are following E3 was
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate saying meh, 'cause it's just it's the whatever of this generation. But
I even go much further than meh and just saying nothing impressive shown regarding the Move.
Yeah.
If they're launching in September like they're promising, and this is after they delayed it, imagine if it was supposed to launch in the spring. They showed the most impressive thing I saw with Move was SORCERY, and that was very clearly a cool tech demo. They now want to realize into a full game. It's the most generic thing I've seen.
Yeah.
But it shows some cool possibilities with the controller itself. But if this is their launch lineup for Move in September, and they think this is going to move the needle on anything, they're sorely mistaken. Nothing is going to change.
Well, I guess the other thing is not so much who is Move intended for, but what is Move intended to do? Is it to earn more money off of people that have a PS3? Is it to sell PS3s?
I think it's to make people lose at Killzone 3.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can use it for SOCOM and Killzone. I was like, yeah, you can use it and then get killed by someone using a controller. Like,
Yeah.
It might be some good Keystone Cops type videos of like, hey, look at SOCOM. Like,
look at that guy. He's using a move. He's just some dude in the corner. Like,
I
Kill him first.
I mean, I think the other thing is the more I looked at the controller with its little glowy top thing, it's visually, I think it's going to really confuse people, turn people off.
You can have your glow
Yeah.
sticks and then your
3D
sunglasses,
glasses.
and you can look like you're
God.
going to a rave.
no
It's-
thanks.
And not nearly as fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
depends
even-
how many drugs you do beforehand.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
now,
Sterling.
Children of Eden's on another console, Abby.
True.
Now, I mean, Sterling, what was your? I mean, it sounds like you were not impressed with Move either, or
No, and I mean, you're talking to somebody who like has a PlayStation Eye and could basically just go to the store and buy 2 controllers, and I'm thinking to myself, do I even want to make this investment? I mean, I'm pretty well versed in PlayStation, and I don't see how even the most staunch apologist could spin it. I played Sports Champions, and there was like everything about it felt like, yes, everything flowed, but there was nothing to grab me. There was nothing about it that felt like it had the charm of Wii Sports. It just felt kind of like all of the kind of generic glazed over look of Rockstar table tennis combined with motion controls. I was like, these people have no personality. They come from some weird country. I don't identify with this at all. No, thank you.
and Sports Champions. No, people need to come up with catchy names. Just because Wii Sports work does not mean that you have to find this kind of reductivist, title that somehow that's going to have broad appeal. It could be like Awesome Sports Spectacular. That's at least going to catch my eye.
when we were doing, when the Ubisoft press conference was on, they showed that sports game, and I take notes as it goes on, and then send out like a summary of each press conference as it happens. And I didn't know what it was called yet, so I just wrote down Motion Sports Trailer, and then at the end it's like Motion Sports is what it's called. And I'm like, oh. Really? Like,
I mean,
come on.
it's Ubisoft. It could be like Le Sports Motion, and that's still catchier than Motion Sports. I want to read this comment from Tiger, which is with a Y, which I hope is a William Blake reference. I'm not that hopeful. Can you guys please ask Sony what's up with the Move not including the sub-controller with their bundles, and if there will be a family bundle with multiple Move controllers? I ask this because as of right now, many fans are upset with having to buy the parts separate, and also with the speculated price of $149 for KINECT, Sony's peripheral will cost more to play with 4 players than KINECT, or however you spell it. We'll get to that aspect.
I think that's exactly what we were saying after
Yeah.
we saw Move for the first time at GDC was where's the family bundle? I mean, you get the one. I thought there was one sub controller that came with that. Was I wrong when they announced it at GDC?
I'm wondering this too. I think they showed a couple of bundles.
Yeah, they listed like 4 different things.
But I remember with each bundle, it still seemed to preclude involving someone else or being able to, use 2 things in my hand.
It seems like they have configurations for if you only have one. Like when I did play Sports Champions, it said, okay, it asked left-handed, right-handed.
Or pass it over to the next
Yeah,
person.
do you want to pass to the other person? Do you have 2 controllers or do you just have one?
Now, did the experience change between having 2 controllers in your hands versus 1?
Oh, I just decided I wanted to play with 2. I was doing archery. I don't know how you can try to do archery when you hold it sideways and then kind of like launch. No, I don't.
I mean, that's the thing. Is that
Yeah.
it sounds like maybe there's a handful of games on a pack of games that really handles just 1 controller. But
some of the games can approximate a second controller with the 6-axis because the 6-axis does have a certain range of motion, so it can do sort of Wiimote-esque, like the original Wiimote-esque things were like up, down, left, right. Like it can generate those with the 6-axis, but if you want any sort of true motion, you're going to need a second controller.
that would be really unwieldy. I mean,
Well, and that's
That was what they shut off at TVS, I remember.
My
It was
6-axis, my Move, my 3D glasses. I just look like I can't make up my mind.
I mean, that's why the sub-controller looks like the way it is because it's designed that you don't have to buy that. You can awkwardly use your 6-axis on your knee if you wanted to, but I can't see anyone wanting
It sounds
to do
like marketing speak. That obviously, if you're going to really get the most, or you're supposed to get out of it, you need to spend a lot more money than what the price point is going to let.
Well, it has to be what they're counting on. I mean, maybe people are smarter now, but I wasn't at the time the Wii came out. I must have dropped almost as much as I spent on the system on accessories and the classic controllers and more Wiimotes and nunchucks, and you didn't think of it. You didn't even think twice about it. It's like, oh, I'm going to need all this because everyone wants to play Wii Sports, and they have to be thinking that they're going to nickel and dime people to that, even beyond the price of the KINECT. And like, I just don't think, as Patrick said, I don't think they got the games to make people want to do that.
No, it really is a head scratcher. I mean, and, you know, we're just going to go from this on to KINECT, because both of these, they don't have a killer app. And what's actually most annoying to me is they keep on trying to push their sports game forward. And it's kind of like, Wii Sports, it wasn't the sports part that grabbed people's attention. It's like when we're back at Tech TV and we had these theme weeks for a month. And both Matt and I were like, in Shark Week, it's not week. They're like, oh my God, a week's worth of something unified. It's like, no, it's Shark. I mean, why? I mean, there's nothing there that said, hey, this does something different. It's like, hey, look, it does the same thing. I mean, I was as disappointed with KINECT as I was with Move, if not more so, because I had thought there was more ideas of what they were going to be doing.
Well, I think last year, you know, when you saw it for the first time and saw the Milo demo, and there was something that was really neat that I think grabbed all of our attention when we saw that. And I didn't see that this year. I didn't see the facial recognition and the passing things in between the camera. I didn't see that. And the sitting.
I mean,
sitting.
People were sitting down in that video last year. Yeah, I remember that. Like the guy was standing and shit.
Yeah, Microsoft has since come out in a very brief statement said that they're working on tweaking that for the launch, but there doesn't seem to be any promise that you'll be able to do full functionality.
I cannot wait for that press release where they're like, we've updated your Xbox 360 so that now you can sit and play KINECT. Now millions of gamers can exult in sitting on their asses on the couch. Like it's going to be some sort of hallelujah.
I
mean, am I really supposed to stand up and play Forza 3?
I mean, it's weird. I mean,
Currently, yes.
But I mean, watching this whole change, like, oh yeah, we forgot about African Americans. Oh, hold on, now you have to stand up. I mean, is there a trade-off between the two of them?
Wow.
I mean, it's one of those. As with Move, it's like maybe you needed another year on this puppy.
Well, I mean, I will say at least with the Move. I didn't see anything promising with KINECT. Yeah, I mean, I think they had a very bungled unveiling, and it wasn't nearly as smooth as I think they wanted to. But things like Dance Central and what they're doing with the voice recognition show, yeah, the tech would be much better if we were waiting, 2 or 3 years, and most likely we'll be buying iterative versions of KINECT going forward. But something like Dance Central, that is the closest thing that Microsoft has to a Wii Sports, something that is fundamentally different as a software application that differentiates the technology. And Dance Central is the only thing right now that when you play that, you're like, you get what's cool about it detecting, and it does it in the interface, so you know why that's different than what the Wii can do. If Microsoft's smart, they say screw it to the sort of piss poor first party stuff that we've put together. Connectables might have some resonance. I think we make fun of the Skittles thing, but I think kids could get into Connectables pretty easily. But Dance Central is the one thing. If they make that their flagship product, I think they have a chance of connecting with people.
I like the animals more than I like the creepy monkey thing.
I see exactly what you're saying about Connectables and Dance Central, but once again, like what Wii Sports had was universal appeal.
Yeah.
A kid can play it, an old person can play it. We as hardcore gamers played it. It just had that thing, whereas Dance Central, it's got a narrow market. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think for the most part.
They make the best drunk party games ever. They do. And that is clearly where I will be playing that game.
Yes.
But and
we're going to need a no-fail mode.
Yeah. But also, I mean, when we were trying to think of, titles that we were really excited to see from KINECT, that was the one that everybody said. Yeah. And that was the one that impressed everybody.
And the Star Wars title was not one of those.
Okay,
it wasn't.
I am not happy with the Star... And I realized that was clearly like a proof of concept video. That was not the gameplay. That was not the game footage, I don't think. That was like something they're like, this is what we're going to make. Because watching that, you're like, the lightsaber hits don't even look like they're contacting the enemies. And it's like, what era is this? There's clone troopers, there's stormtroopers, a vulture droid lands, a carrier drops down, Darth Vader gets out, what is like a fever dream of the Jedi having?
Poor nerd analysis.
And we spent the last 4 months hoping for that lightsaber game, and then they gave it on the one with no controller, and not on the one where I had the
it seems like...
I mean, this is by Terminal Reality. It's by the guys that made Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So
they do treat licenses with
and the Blair Witch games, I would like to point out.
Let's like
that.
I mean, they nailed Ghostbusters to me, and so I'm hoping that this was just like a proof of concept pre-thing, and they've got a good idea and they'll figure it out. But,
I guess, but
just don't show that to me at this point in time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's almost like Microsoft was so drunk on how impressed people were going to be with the technology that this idea of the application of it was almost this secondary thought because, yeah, as we've said for a year now, if you have motion control, the obvious thing to do is a lightsaber game. Why didn't they get Lucas involved early so that they could really roll out the end all be all of motion control games?
And I'm kind of hoping that I don't know what the deal is behind the scene. I don't know if there's exclusivity or whatever is going on. I would hope that it wouldn't be that hard to take that game and put it on the Move.
Yeah.
As well, because the Move to me seems like the controller that's obvious for a lightsaber situation.
This doesn't feel as much of a lightsaber as just having something solid there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've been wondering that for a while about how the development process works for both, for each, and whether once you get past E3 where everybody wants their exclusives for each system, how much we'll see that comes out across the platforms.
If you can get an HD port of a Wii game, a Wii light gun game, Dead Space Extraction on PS3 on the Move, there's got to be some modularity there.
I think
that's overkill.
That's what I think people are going to go for with Move. Everybody's going to start doing, all the third-party Wii developers are going to start doing HD versions of a lot of their shovelware. I mean, in general, I feel like
Dead.
Yeah, that's what I want that.
I feel like with Move and KINECT and a lot of the stuff with E3 this year, it felt like deja vu. I felt like I was reliving parts of 2006 again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not just because it's a World Cup year.
And I better get a Seaman 3 out of this KINECT thing.
One could hope.
I mean, I would like to, but we'll probably have to get something involving avatars.
And we're going to have
how about just get Sega to put Seaman in Connectimals?
As an Easter egg.
Skittles would eat Seaman in like a New York minute.
Or maybe you can alienate, Skittles, and then you only have Seaman to play with, and teach kids a lesson. Be nice to your pets. I want to read a comment from Blind Side of the Sun. It's a long, but more or less, he's going to get KINECT, but he's commenting on something that Kudo said about core gaming audiences. He said it felt like a major cop-out from someone who just did not deliver on the promise of having core games. Here's remarked that, quote, people think that if you're not shooting each other, it's not a core game, but core gamers really like skill-based gameplay and gameplay depth. And then also, where's object scanning, emotion recognition? Should I be looking for Milo on the back of a milk carton? I mean, that's, I think, what it really comes down to is they dialed down from this game changer that we all saw last year. We're very excited about to this. I mean, Patrick, do you think that the tech is still there and viable, or has the technology actually changed that it's not going to be able to encompass some of what they promised?
I'm still waiting to hear back from Microsoft in terms of the object scanning, but Milo was at E3. We just, none of us saw it. It was Peter Molyneux, was asked about that a couple of times, and he said that it's sort of a promotion thing they're doing. They were showing it to celebrities. So
that's classy, Microsoft.
Sort of reading between the lines, it sounds like how Milo's supposed to recognize you. They're probably pretending they're a video where Milo recognizes the celebrities that come in and they have some sort of interaction with Milo.
Because clearly the celebrity, I mean,
if you take it at face value and that this isn't and sort of like one of the mantras of E3 this year is that if you look at it as though it's a launch, if it's supposed to be a year where we were seeing new launch hardware, a lot of our sort of is on the software would be stuff we'd echo if this was actual launch of new hardware, like the weak software lineup.
Yeah.
And then also sort of a lot of the stuff, the messaging. When you go to E3, people think that as a hardcore event, when really a lot of stuff being presented, it isn't for us. Where it's being targeted, it's being presented to hardcore gamers hoping they'll evangelize it, even though we're not the people that they're hoping will buy it.
I mean, yeah, I'm still getting over the fact that, hey, we'll show Milo to celebrities. It's feeding into this. I don't think that Microsoft has been able to step outside of themselves to get a better understanding that this is a challenging thing for them to be selling. And spending God knows how many millions of dollars on Cirque du Soleil, it might have been a little bit wiser to actually put that into clear messaging so that, they can start to target the audience, start to move towards that audience, because right now it just seems to be kind of all over the place, especially, and this is what we need to get to, is it looks like the 150 price point, it's now on Microsoft's own site online, in their store, even though they haven't made an announcement. That just sounds prohibitive. Except for
$50 more gets you a Wii.
Yeah. And that brings you Mario. That brings you the reliability of Nintendo's name, and that the Microsoft name in terms of high quality casual games, that doesn't exist yet.
Well, would you rather play Connectimals or would you rather play Super Mario Galaxy 2?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what I just see a challenge. Also, avatars.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't helped by the fact that all that. I mean, you got to do kind of the marketing playlet with the people playing the games and looking like they're having a great time, and the guys on the Yahtzee box going, but like I didn't.
What was that?
You know, like to cover the Yahtzee box or something.
No, specifically what you did.
Because
There were some crazy facial
that's true
expressions
about all
during the
classic
event.
board games. It's like I have never looked like that, not just when playing that game, but in life. It's like that Coca-Cola ad where the kids are roller skating. I have never had that much fun. I hate that ad.
Did you see the faces of the people?
Yes, I am.
Did you see the faces of the people at the event on Sunday night?
Yeah.
There was,
Even,
it was all that.
Even
It
Dance
was kinda
Central
scary.
watch.
Yeah, I saw the faces of all the press being put in these ponchos like it was a Klan rally.
Yeah.
It was like
Wasn't just the press.
Zeno all over this.
I was expecting to get sneakers and Kool-Aid.
I was going to say, if I'm going out, I'll take orange, thank you.
I mean, to be honest, especially with the name alone, which I think is abhorrent because the way that it sounds doesn't replicate the way that it's spelled, and the way that it's spelled doesn't look like it's actually pronounceable. I mean, at the moment, I'm just trying to figure out what's happening with Microsoft. I mean, these are all very confusing things that they're doing.
It doesn't seem unique enough, I don't think.
It sounds like a service.
Exactly, and there are so many services online that offer us like KINECT. You know, there's and social networking sites and everything that it just doesn't seem like it defines itself by that name. We all laughed at Wii, but like we say it now with a straight face.
I do have to say this. I called home on Sunday to say Happy Father's Day to my dad, and he knew what the KINECT was. My dad doesn't know technology. He still looks at a DVD player and it's like, I don't know, you do it. But like he knew from reading like Variety and stuff what the KINECT was.
I mean,
Mine didn't, but he knew 3DS.
Maybe it worked.
Yeah, and that's what I move on to. This is the one that I think some other people's parents were very well aware of, was the 3DS, which I'm still just blown away.
It is as I said I don't remember who I came up with this with at the show, but we were convinced that it runs by having an angel's soul trapped in each system. Because I don't know how they're doing it.
No, it's magic.
I looked at that thing and it was just amazing.
I have been saying that I don't dispute the technology, but I'm like, I don't know what's going to bring to the gameplay. And I think you also saw Star Fox.
Yeah, we both sort of the moment that sort of sold it for me was one was Paper Mario, but the other one was Star Fox. And it's just a port of Star Fox 64. It's tweaked. It looks a bit better. But the moment that you're flying your air wing and an enemy comes up behind you and the depth comes through on the screen, that immediately communicates to you how this works in the gameplay.
Yeah.
That no Killzone, nothing, no other 3D game has communicated that to me, at how this is going to change the way I play the game. And having that depth, or when I'm playing Paper Mario and the wall goes back, and yeah, I know when you play a normal game, you can explore it, but watching the wall go back and then you can explore that wall, it just it enhances the gameplay in a way we haven't seen with any other 3D game. And these are just like really early tech demos, and it's just to see if they can do that with a port of an N64 game. Like, imagine what Nintendo's going to do once we see, like, was it Miyamoto said that now that the Super Mario Galaxy 2 team is done with Galaxy 2, they can start working on a Mario game for 3DS.
And he's had that, like, 3D Mario game. He's talked about that since, like, 85.
Which brings me to something.
Yeah.
I ran into Reggie in the booth where I had to sheepishly walk up to him and went, okay, you really, really impressed me. Because, I mean, there was a point I was like, oh, God, Rose, another Nintendo proudly hide my children. And I was like, wow. And I was like, but what I really wanted to know was, how long has this been in development? Because I'm certain that it predates the rush for 3D that Avatar was going to cause. And at first I thought his answer was coy. He said for 15 years, because 15 years ago was the Virtual Boy.
The Virtual Boy.
And the more I thought about it, I think that they knew they bungled the Virtual Boy and that they were going to find a way to make it work.
If there was an interview with Iwata, it was with VentureBeat, with Dean Takahashi, and he talked through the development of the 3DS, and they had 3D tech built into the Game Boy Advance, and they wanted to do it back then. They had 3D tech built into the GameCube. They wanted to do it back then, and just none of it was viable enough or consumer friendly. So they again, showing Nintendo, sometimes they bungle it out of the gate. It takes a couple times for them to do it, but they've been thinking about this literally for almost 2 decades.
An incredible amount of patience.
So you got to wonder what's the Mario game on the 3DS going to be?
Yeah,
this game that Miyamoto's had in his head for a quarter century.
I mean, Sterling, think about it. We were just complaining about how, there don't seem to be games that are distinguishing the Move and the Kinect. This is the tech where I think that the desire to do a couple of games is what motivated it, rather than let's find the tech so that we can then find out how to do a game with it afterwards.
Or even stuff like that looks so good. I'm sorry.
It's okay. There's plenty to go off about. It's funny because I wasn't at the Nintendo press conference, and I didn't get a chance to really look at it until the usual Nintendo annual afternoon after the press conference where they do roundtable with Miyamoto and whoever else on Nintendo. And it was the unlikeliest game for me. It was Nintendogs plus cats. I didn't go near Nintendogs with like a 50-foot pole on the DS.
But when it comes out of the screen and it licks your face
That
and it
wasn't
follows
even-
your eyes.
But it was amazing to just like listen to just listen to the lead developer and the designer talking about just these core ideas that you're going to see in other tech. It's not just touching the screen to pet your cat. It's the responsiveness and the way that the AI is programmed. So if you put your face in towards the camera, it'll lick your face, which makes me not think about cute dogs licking my face, but about what other applications will there be in other games. There's the fact that like they essentially seem to have push notification built into the thing. So instead of having to have my cartridge slapped into the machine, if I just have data locked into my 3DS and I'm riding the subway and somebody's like, oh, I unlocked a bunch of Mario Kart stuff. Let's trade. Like, it will trade. I don't need to worry about it. I
mean, also, let's talk about the thing that obviously, you know, is a big deal, but it's fallen by the wayside because of the 3D tech. The graphics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Metal Gear.
The Metal Gear trailer was
mind-blowing.
insane. And when the bees come up.
I told
oh
people,
my
I
God.
said, this looks like Snake Eater. Not like Peace Walker looks Peace Walker looks great. Peace Walker looks like Snake Eater. No. This is Snake Eater.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like, it doesn't seem like there's smoke and mirrors. It is.
And the
Some people
3D tech
do
in
really
Kojima, that just sounds like the happiest marriage of like crazy creative guy and this tech. I mean, I cannot wait to see what he would do with it.
Zone of the
I'm
Unders
very
3?
excited.
Give me a Zone of the Unders game on that thing.
Ooh,
that would be
that's
sick.
good. And okay, and the other thing is, which I hope most of the people out there know, it also has an analog stick.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's what made Star Fox work. I'm like, oh, look. I mean, it's like they put all the things together into one thing.
How soon before people are complaining that there's not 2 analog sticks?
But see,
No.
they're better at
Whoever
I think
makes
they're better
two
at
will be
making
king.
games. Is that, you know, a lot of stuff we have in the PSP is like, well,
Ports
that's
of
yeah,
games that
no,
were
it's
based
this,
on.
I think ground up games. I don't need that analog stick,
No.
especially when, like Wii games don't need.
But also, don't you kind of have one with a touchscreen?
Yeah. That's a good point.
I mean, and the thing about the 3DS, considering how ecstatic we are about it, like, I know the PSP2 is, the developers have it, it's out there. Like, what the hell does this mean for that device? Is like Sony already screwed out of the gate? Like, are they already relegated to second place by virtue?
PSP2 move.
Or is the PSP2 already going to be 3D? Or
No, Kazrai already said like, no, the screen tech isn't advanced for us. They're like, it's not to the quality we want yet. So maybe you're gonna wear glasses.
Get
on
your glasses,
PSP.
kids. Yeah.
No, I think that it says a lot about when Iwata came out on the record before E3 and said, Sony's not our competitor. Apple is the enemy now.
Yeah.
And they needed some...
Yeah.
So, and it made me think, as I was talking about 3DS, I said, 5-6 years ago when the DS was introduced, touchscreens were still, that was pretty exotic technology back in 2004, 2005. And the way that we're talking about 3D now, that's the tech that in 5 years, Apple's probably going to have something that's dealing with, and it seems like it's a dual filtration system. I know a lot of people have been concerned, what's going to happen, if they get headaches, how do you play games not in 3D? And they have a slider for that, which makes it a lot easier to use. I think it's going to set the standard for what other people do and how they try to make 3D tech on the cheap.
There's a comment here from Muramasa Squid. As an owner of the DS Fat, oh, now I get it.
That's funny.
He's interested in the 3DS. Now, he also is someone who happens to be legally blind. He's curious about potential eye health concerns surrounding extended use of the handheld. Do you believe there was a cause for concern about this? Well, A, there's just a little switch, and it goes from 2D to 3D.
Also, Reggie did address that in an interview with, I think it was with Kotaku, saying that they're not like 3D in general shouldn't be consumed by children under 7 because your eyes haven't fully developed yet. And
Apparently pregnant women aren't supposed to use it too. That one's
Don't
weird.
they have that warning that pops up when you turn?
Yeah. So essentially, as far as they know, like there's 3D's been around long enough. They've done enough health studies that as long you're under 7, you shouldn't do it because it can kind of screw with your eyes. Other than that, that's the slider is ingenious. Like the fact I have to imagine. I mean, I haven't played enough PS3 3D games, but my guess is you probably have to boot out of the game, or it's a it's more of a complicated process than. And it just goes, and the fact that you can adjust the 3D if it's just a little too much.
Adjust the depth of field.
This is just
it's so simple, but the moment you see it, it's that Nintendo touch that like they've really, like Apple, that, it would have been so easy to just put it in there, but they really thought about how players can adjust that. And it's just,
I mean, this is one of the most well thought out pieces of tech that has been presented to us as I guess a prototype, for lack of a better word. It's like I want it now. I'm confident that it's on its way much sooner than I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess March or April next year.
And like we were complaining about with Move and Connect, is that we saw that, those early games that, never look like quite what we're looking for, and we want to see what's coming out in, a year after launch. This one was straight up like, oh, here's all the stuff you want to play.
Yeah.
Like,
and
we're showing you tech demos, but you're going to want all of this. And none of it was that soft, like, I guess I could play the tennis game for a bit.
It was
feel
like tech demos.
You want all of it.
It felt like design that was being applied to this new tech. And
I want this day one. I will not miss Connect or Move over the holiday season if it's not in my home.
Fair enough.
I also don't know where I'm going to put the things.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but you have a weird setup with and it's on you have the speaker stuff on the bottom, right?
Am I going to put the Wii sensor bar on top of the Kinect now?
Yeah.
I
What
take
do I do
them
with
all
that?
together
That's
to
a
be
good point.
this sad robot. Like
have this
Wally
duct
wouldn't even
tape
look at
together,
him. Let's talk about the other 3D. This is Sony's 3D. There's Killzone. We know Tron's going to be 3D, and Crysis. Exciting?
I liked MotorStorm.
Yeah, MotorStorm, you like that a lot.
MotorStorm, I
Gran
mean,
Turismo 5 is going to have it as well.
Do you think like sports and racing games are
Yeah.
really the ones that are going to reap the benefits of 3D?
I'm
I
really
think they will
excited
the
about
most.
the show. I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
before.
MLB The Show looked fantastic in 3D. Like the depth of field actually has an effect on gameplay, whereas I feel like with some of the other games, it's just smoke mirrors presentation.
Right.
But I feel like where it's going to be applicable to gameplay, I think that's where you're going to see the 3D tech shine. I think what's important to note with MotorStorm especially is that apparently they have guys on their team who have already prototyped 2 games in 3D for Sony. They did Pacific Rift and they worked on Wipeout. So
okay.
that was the only game I felt like in the booth I could play without soiling my shoes with lunch.
The thing is, though, not to go back to 3DS again, is that at the moment I look at that tech, I'm like, why do I want to buy a 3D TV and 3D glasses when I know, it's probably a little far off, but that tech's going to be on my TV eventually.
Know. I don't know if that tech would really work
I don't
outside
know
of that
two
handheld
people.
and
I'm not saying that tech, but
Right.
Yeah,
it
similar.
It works small. Eventually they'll make it work
You
big
can
and just
I mean, there are some that work like they have different viewing angles for like 4 people or something. That's a long way out from the consumer market. So Nintendo makes me feel like I'm being cheated by having to it's part of the magic part. Like they're making it work on the small screen, but
There are no angels in my TV.
but it's
Too many souls to put into one screen.
Everything I saw with Sony's 3D was MotorStorm did look pretty cool. I had heard that the iPad with 3D and Move is really, really cool because it's like the little creature is running around even though it's very creepy.
It scares me.
Exactly.
It's a munchie possessed.
But unlike the 3DS, it was all these things that if I happened to be in front of a 3D TV and had 3D glasses, would I play this? Especially with I don't even play baseball games, but MLB looks absolutely incredible on that. But I saw nothing that was like, I need to go get this. I need to start scraping up my change and I just again with a lot of this new tech, it seems to be reaching for positive things.
I think they're pushing the tech because for whatever reason, the television manufacturer have decided that they're going to sell 3D TVs this year, and they need some support from the gaming industry. At the same time, I went to go see Toy Story 3, and I want to see it in 3D.
You're a convert.
And I have to say, I'm being won over by 3D. And the way that it was implicated. It was utilized in the film, that sense of depth, a more subtle way of adding the drama. I don't mind that being the approach that people can take in games. It's like, if you want to put me in a dark hallway and there's something scary and you can give a greater sense of depth that's scary, I'm slowly warming up to it. I do not think there will be wholesale gameplay changes, except, as you pointed out, in the sports stuff and the racing stuff, because I think when it's more of a real-life activity that's being simulated in a game, I think they know how to simulate that sense of depth. Whereas if it's an invented fantasy world, it's a little bit more challenging to I don't know.
You don't have a ground in your mind.
I don't know what a hovercraft is like, or my jetpack.
You watch MotorStorm Apocalypse, and even though you don't know what an apocalypse is like, you know what buildings falling down. Like you have a sense of depth to that. So I can see how that would. Or if you watch baseball, we have Andrew in the background here. Like he watches baseball so much that you would know what would enhance the gameplay by knowing where the pitch is as it's coming in.
Yep.
The trick is going to be stuff like, because I think the real selling point as far as 3D for me with Toy Story 3 was the short at the beginning,
Yes.
Day and Night, which was clearly the Pixar guys saying, okay, we have 3D now, what can we do with that? And Day and Night to me is like, you're going to see like the Day and Night equivalent of like 3DS stuff from Nintendo, where you're going to be like, oh my God, I never thought of that,
Yeah.
of doing that with that.
I now believe it is viable tech that will be applied well in a few cases. I think that people can be judicious.
Just like anything.
Yeah, people can be judicious, and we have a nice split between the crap and the good. It has a future, but if like we have a lot of those Clash of the Titans, I don't have much confidence we're going to see much of a future for this tech. Let's talk about E3 disappointments. I have one.
Go.
Zelda.
Yeah. Oh, you took mine.
I know, likey.
Really?
What don't you
I
like about it?
enjoyed.
I just, granted, I think it was a tech demo. I think that game is so further behind in development than they ever implied, that it was showing off all the, the Wii Motion
I think that's
Plus.
Mario Galaxy next year. Like that game's not coming out till May. Like,
Yeah.
I think we're a well.
Oh,
year
oh,
out.
No.
They
Zelda's
always
far
said-
I'm
off,
thinking
I
holiday
think.
next
Really?
year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm not a fan of the aesthetics.
That was my problem too, and it wasn't. It was, and it makes the game look blurry, and you're already kind of operating on a system that doesn't have the best graphics between the three, and it just kind of made it look not quite in focus or just not sharp. And I kind of wanted that. I mean, I understand, like you're saying, like I wish, like even between like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, that they had gone to something that was maybe a little more Wind Waker, one more way or the other, and they found this kind of like mash in the middle that just doesn't look right.
See, I thought it was interesting because during the press roundtable, one of the topics when they were discussing Zelda, it was Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma. Miyamoto was saying he was a huge fan of Impressionist art, and he really liked Cezanne. And actually, when the map zooms far out, it kind of reminded me of a Monet painting.
Fair
in a
enough,
strange
but
way.
at this point, it kind of looks like it has a bad Photoshop filter over it. Like, where you can make all like the fun artistic ones. It looks like one of those overlaid onto the game to me.
Yeah.
It's early and if they can clean it up.
I think that's what the big thing is, that it's early, and they kept telling us this is an early prototype. And, I remember 3 years ago during his GDC speech, Miyamoto said it's always about gameplay for them. And everything is about prototyping their gameplay mechanics and making the gameplay fun. The art comes second. Like, apparently, he said when they showed off that picture, that portrait last year at the last roundtable, they didn't even have most of the art in place, and they'd still only prototyped like 70% of the gameplay.
And that's fine, because Zelda is magical.
It's going to
me.
need work,
but
no doubt.
On the gameplay aspect of it, that's a lot to do with the controllers. I mean, we were shooting the spiders off of the vines, and you have to pull back, but remember to hit the Z or something to trigger, and then you have to raise this up to pull up your shield. And like, frankly, I liked how it was in Twilight Princess, probably because they didn't do as much with it. And I liked what Metroid Prime had done with it, because again, it was there, but it was there when it was really needed. And this felt just a little bit complicated to me.
The shield was the one that kind of, I was like,
The timing, we had to kind of punch the nunchuck out.
I was like, wow. Or just raise it up. Like, oh, hold on, I'm over here. I'm like, I'm confused. And the fact that you're doing that and you're adding the button presses. So you're doing something that's allegedly intuitive to
I
then
just
do
don't
something
get what they're
that's-
trying to do with that. When you implement something like the bow and arrow in the Zelda game, what is the idea there? Are you trying to immerse me in the world by making me do what the character is physically doing? Because all you're doing is taking me out.
It made it a little tedious, honestly. Like, I would have kind of rather just done a quick, like, gotcha, and then, progressed through, because shooting the
I'm
spider
not
was
an
the most
archer.
exciting part.
That was what I was thinking. Is like, hold on. I'm not like, I don't have the best aim.
It's still not that difficult. It's just a little more time consuming. And I guess that's just not quite what I'm looking for. But then again, like, what we saw was minimal, and I'm granted, I'm willing to see what it looks like further on. I'm very excited to see what it looks further on. But I was very surprised when Zelda wasn't what caught my eye. It was Kirby, a character who honestly I don't really care about outside of Smash Brothers, and all of a sudden the one that I'm like, oh my god, is the Kirby game.
Anything make you go?
In a good way?
I guess that sounds kind
Yeah,
of
that sounded
just
happy.
Let's try it again.
Actually, a lot of the stuff that we already really went over. Like,
connect and move. Really,
those are really the things. More. I had already seen move before, and I haven't had a lot of confidence based on the way Sony had been setting up tech and the software they did or didn't have available, I kind of knew going into E3 that I wasn't going to be very impressed. But KINECT was more like, I was really interested, and I'm still, at this point, more interested in the tech side of it with, talking to it, with the interface, which you can do, with the exception of the moving your hand, which I don't know if I would have done even if I could sit down. But being able to speak to it, I think, is going to work pretty well. If only, and I always go back to this one example, if all KINECT does is allows me to get through the Rock Band set list by just saying K, W, and I can just go through the set list and get to the song, like that kind of thing, if that's all it does, that's worth it to me. Like, because I have, thousands of songs, and even in Rock Band 3, what they've done for the filtering is not going to be as nice as just saying Xbox W, and I can just scroll down to it. So,
or just the name of the song that you want to play.
Exactly.
If I can ask it to make me feel good about myself, and then it does.
Then
I'll be
can
happy.
I say Xbox don't red ring?
Well,
That could
I would also hope
And then
that
it just
could.
stops.
I would also hope that it could streamline some of the interface stuff. Where when I'm in a match and I'm playing, I would love it if I could be like, send a message to this person, and and tell them this, hey, we're all
Invite
playing
X,
right now,
yeah.
invite, if I could do kind of that stuff, so I'm not backing out into a menu in the middle of gameplay and doing all that. That is something I would use it for as a hardcore gamer, and that is the way I would see that fitting into hardcore.
I think that Microsoft would have been better off appealing to the hardcore gamer by admitting the software is not for you, but here are ways that it can enhance what we're already doing.
Which is what I thought they were going to do, but then they brought out Velveteen and Lollipop.
Because if they if they had shown how you could start like a group party with just speaking into the technology, I think that would have won over a lot of people going.
I'm just the way they do that. I'm like, where the f is Sneakerdoodle? Let's get the entire gang of floppy girl names. Oh God. Sorry.
Wow.
Abby, I had to voice what I know was going on in your head.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, it's weird seeing women be represented in some of those. And
Hey,
you're just
my
like,
gamer score is
God,
legit.
why?
Mine's not. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I got those 1,000 avatar points. So what? It's an expensive. It's a $150 remote for lazy ass people.
Are you calling me lazy? Because I don't want to scroll
I'm
through
calling.
1,000 songs.
Hey, I'm calling
Sorry.
me lazy.
Apparently, my time is more valuable than yours.
No, I'm calling both of us lazy because let me tell you, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I can't wait to just get on the couch in my underwear Saturday morning and just go Xbox, ESPN, soccer, thank you. Or Xbox, Netflix, instant queue. Instead of having to do this weird twisting from the couch to try to use my remote to hit the sensor. No, it's a remote for lazy people until they give me some games. An expensive one.
Yeah. Matt, anything?
And yet you said that, and
Yeah.
all of us are going, God, that sounds good.
That sounds fun.
I'm not saying it is a disappointment. That's
Post
the
E3,
highlight.
it's like, anything that doesn't involve lifting this sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know how tough it is for me to get
I
off the
couldn't
couch and hit the
shave
button.
yesterday because I didn't possess the strength.
You should maybe go to a doctor.
Yeah,
I don't have the time. They should have them at E3. Dr. Mario, get over here. Okay, I feel better. Matt, what disappointed you?
I had two disappointments aside from Star Wars.
And that's Star Wars on Kinect.
Yeah, on Kinect.
Yeah.
Other M, I don't think the switch from third to first person with moving the control, I don't think that works.
I agree.
See, I've been
I
sharing this disappointment
totally
for
agree.
4 months now, and I've
Totally
been waiting
agree.
for everybody else to start, impressions
And
to start filtering
I
in.
mean, the side scrolling's good. I'm a little iffy on the auto aim because it made it a little non-Metroid, a little too easy. All you had to do was make Shadow Complex with Samus in it. It's all I wanted. But this is a weird little thing now.
It is awkward though, that switch. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what I've been kind of trying to articulate to you guys. It feels strange when you're using the missiles to.
Well, it mechanically doesn't work, and as I was playing it, I was like, oh, they're going to factor this into the final boss fight. And the boss fight is going to be far more frustrating than it needs to be because this mechanic doesn't work. Every time I turned the remote to first person, I was like, turn, I'm getting shot at. And it didn't work.
I'm specifically interested to hear your impressions on it because I wasn't sure when that first was happening to me, because this was a few months ago, whether maybe, I don't know, maybe the sensor bar was kind of hitting wrong. Maybe I was standing in the wrong place. So I'm just glad to know I'm not the only one.
Motion control. When things go wrong, you always assume it's your fault first.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like my old school games. It's the game's fault. It's that system right there.
And my other one would be that Last Guardian wasn't there.
Yeah.
I imagine that's being saved for
Saving
TGS.
over
for TGS because that could be the saving grace of 2010.
Even a little though, a little anything would have been nice.
Yeah, just
a little stuff. Griffin
Ueda
thing.
just on a webcam going, I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
I will share one very quick disappointment is with this PlayStation Plus thing. The fact that I have to pay $50 a year to get in the background firmware updates.
Yes.
Like, F you, Sony. Like, I have to pay for that.
It goes to show, like, between
BS.
the 3DS's, like, push notification stuff and this background downloading, like, push notification is, apparently it's the new hotness in Japan. They like having stuff just delivered to you.
Yeah, at least
Too
I don't have
bad
to
you don't
pay
have to
for
pay
it.
for it.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I almost forgot about that.
Oh,
and
it
I
was
just,
most
I was, I think, in the room with you while we were watching the Sony press conference, and we were just
I was
kind
like,
of
did I mishear that? Did they really say I have to pay in order for background downloading to happen? Like, you just ensured on principle I will not pay for it.
Well,
No.
it'll all be fun and games until Xbox Live says they're incorporating it for free at the next E3.
Yeah.
And that's when the arms race happens.
Let's, with that, talk a little bit about, are we in a healthy industry for the next 365 days?
It remains to be seen. I mean, there's a lot of games that are going to sell solid. You know, Halo Reach, Killzone 3. Like, there's a lot of solid games that are going to do well. In terms of any, again, like, you know, when we were, you know, earlier this week discussing our awards and stuff like that, there wasn't like a lot of really standout software outside of maybe like Star Wars Old Republic, but we're talking like a WoW scale. It's on something like that.
And that's again next year. I think you've got the hits built in this fall. It'll be a healthy holiday. Even if the motion stuff doesn't work, I think, like you say, Halo Reach, you've got Gears, you've got Fable. I think Call of Duty Black Ops has a shot at Modern Warfare level.
Oh, I do
success.
too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Like,
I
always
was
forget
very
about that.
impressed with Treyarch.
It
And
makes
I-
it- they've really, I think they've, you know, I'm not as big a fan of the Treyarch Call of Duties, never have been, but I think from what we saw of Black Ops, I think they've really got down the cinematic approach of Infinity Ward, the heavy kind of like weighty feel of the things that happen, and the way in those little moments when someone gets stabbed, it really feels like a body hit the floor, and like it's really a revolution in how Treyarch like presents their Call of Duty games, and I think they just nailed it on this one.
I mean, I think that we're going to have, once again, a little, I don't want to say sparse, but we're not going to have as crowded a holiday season, and we're going to have a fairly crowded first quarter, which I think it worked out pretty well for a lot of game companies, and it didn't work out that well. But I hope we see an uptick in the game sales, because I see a lot of solid games. I do not see, and this might be a good thing, like Modern Warfare 2, that one game that is so much bigger than the rest that everyone's going to buy that, and everyone else is scrambling for like kind of the griddle scrapings of everyone else's money.
I do kind of wonder. Sorry.
It feels. I don't see. Is there any original IPs coming
That's
out
what
this
I was
fall?
about to say. Like,
is
I
everything
didn't-
a sequel? As much as I'm looking
If
forward
Last
to,
Guardian comes out, we got our one
Right.
original
I'm
IP.
not confident that'll be. That makes much more sense for spring in the U.S.
That's
Maybe
what I was,
fall for Japan.
and that's
but-
what I was hoping to see more of theirs. Like, I thought that maybe we would just see that one game that wasn't a sequel, or you know, the third iteration, or something that was really new.
I think the most original IP, ironically, is like Epic Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the oldest licenses you could possibly
Yeah.
We do have that
utilize.
whole like array of like this future is gonna suck apocalyptic shooters with like Rage and Vanquish and Brink and all these things that like I kind of hope come out very far away from each other, because it feels like it would be tough to distinguish between them as a general consumer.
I mean, I want to do a quick run around about, let's not go into too much description because we are running out of time, my friends. But like games that, it doesn't have to be the same one you've been, saying all week long. I am going to do two because I'm in this chair. Epic Mickey and Kirby, for the very reason that you said, is that those two games are like a
Kirby.
breath of fresh
The art
air in terms of
style
art
is so
style
magical.
and just something that made me want to smile. I
you
would
know how
like
they
to
did
smile
it?
more.
Nintendo
used-
was explaining to me how they did.
I thought it
the
was an
visual
angel's
style.
arm.
Magic, like the
So Sakurai actually, their whole team actually got yarn, scanned it into the game, and then applied it to polygons. So when you're seeing all the yarn getting manipulated,
It's yarn.
that's actual yarn wrapped around polygons, which is why the art pops so well and looks so cool.
It's
That's
absolutely
amazing.
beautiful. Matt?
It's cool.
I'm gonna have to go with Epic Mickey. I was expecting it to be kind of like a weirdo platformer, and it's a Warren Spector game.
Yeah.
It's a Warren Spector game to the
ears.
point of like it was the thing where
In a weirdo platformer.
Yeah, in a weirdo. The thing that got me, I was like, oh, this is awesome, was when like you're supposed to like collect 3 masks that Goofy has lost he runs the store, and you have to collect 3 masks. And so you go and get the 1 mask, and you bring it back, and they're like, now you'll notice the mask you gave back to him is hanging behind him in his store, and then you can go around, like, go through the back door, take the mask out of his storeroom, and give it to him 2 more times, and he doesn't notice, and you can just be a dick, and it's fantastic.
And you don't have to add any points to your swimming skill.
Yes,
Sterling?
Probably a standout for me, besides Rock Band 3. I guess that was huge. But
Yeah.
I saw it before E3. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was probably one of the most pleasant surprises for me.
Yes.
Because it kind of came out of nowhere. I knew Criterion was working on something, but I absolutely love Burnout. I've probably put about 150 hours into Burnout Paradise over the last 2 years. Wow. Like, I just love the way that they've kind of taken the sense of community, and instead of trying to go on this grand scale, global, we're going to blow this up, we're going to have worldwide leaderboards, because they realize the trend is people are saying, I don't want to play online with all those douchey strangers. I want to play with my friends. I want to test my personal best against my friends. They're trying to build the small rivalries between you and your friends list. And I think that's really, really cool.
And I think it's going to get more loyalty for the game.
Yeah, and I think that's really what the biggest trend is of this E3 was like brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Like building that kind of thing. And same reason EA built up Gun Club. Like they want to keep you playing the same games, and they want to be able to string you along based on your loyalty to this game for their next one.
Abby?
Yeah. I was really impressed by Infamous 2. I love the first one. It looked like that, but cool, close combat stuff. I loved Portal 2. Duh. I always, duh.
Are we smart enough for Portal 2?
No. Oh, God, no. I don't think so.
a
There's a
little
little GLaDOS
intimidating.
attachment that enhances your brain ability.
I'm really excited for Dead Space 2. I just, I love survival horror stuff. That was that was really great to see. I wish I had more time. I felt like I had to run around on Thursday and try to see as much as humanly possible, and I still didn't get to see everything that I wanted to.
You, myself, and Matt, we were obviously kind of wedded to the stage Tuesday and Wednesday, and we had to scramble to get a lot in on Thursday.
Yeah.
Patrick?
Quick shout out to Little Big Planet 2, the game that Little Big Planet 1 should have been. In a good way. They had to do the first. It's not one of those instances where I thought, oh man, they rushed it and they could, like, this was a game. Little Big Planet 2 couldn't exist without 1 and learning from that. And Little Big Planet truly should have been not a platforming creation platform, but make your own games. And it seems like they've knocked it out of the park. And
that's really good.
It's when you play at E3, you don't get much of a sense of what's going to happen because you're just so excited to see what people do with it when it comes out. So. Yeah. That game really cool, and I want to give 2 shout-outs to 2 quick XBLA games. Limbo, which is coming out as part of the Summer Arcade. It's an indie game. It's been in development for 5+ years, and it's finally coming out as one of the most unique art styles for a platformer. And I played a couple of hours of it as an IGF judge, and it's just absolutely... People are going to go nuts when it comes out this summer. And then I know Abby will appreciate Comic Jumper, which has come a long way, even just from PAX East.
Yep.
Like, the polish they have on this game... They showed this new sort of
Is it manga levels?
No, not manga's later. It's the like jungle sort of. I can't remember what the comic style is. Oh, it's sort of like Conan. What's the artist's name?
Oh, like Barry Windsor Smith or
no,
or Frazetta.
Conan the Barbarian.
Frazetta.
Yes,
the one who died, right?
Yes,
Earlier this year.
So an homage to him, and it's very cool. And it's very funny because when they announced that game, and then as they're going through development, watching them realize how difficult it is to make the game it sounded so much cooler on paper when you're gonna have 5 different art styles, and then when you have to do the assets,
it's tough.
But
it's tough.
It looks like they're gonna make it before the end of the summer, and it looks really cool.
Yeah,
and also let's not forget about Journey.
Yes.
Because that game company is one of the stars of this generation.
Of course, the only person who saw it is not on the podcast.
Right. But
Just give us a thumbs up.
We've heard really good things.
Guys, thank you so much for obviously busting your asses at E3. It was challenging, hard, and obviously for viewers, go look at the benefits of all that hard work with the ridiculous amount of content that is up on the website right now. We'll be on the website for quite some time. Also, as of today, we're starting to roll out our best of E3 picks. I don't remember what's rolling out today, so I'm just going to be oblique as to what's up on the site. We'll have that concluded by Friday of this week. Thanks so much for watching. I will be out next week. Patrick will have the chair. I'm going to try this thing the kids have been calling vacation. So,
tell us what it's like.
Yeah. I'll send you a postcard going like, I think my heart rate is slowing. And in a good way.
But it might be that Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
You're right. With that, thank you so much for watching Feedback. We'll see you next week.
Do you play World of Warcraft or one of its 1,000 clones? Do you know what a mob or pug is? Then you'll want to make sure to check out the MMO Report. It gives you all the massively multiplayer online news you can want in a neat little package named Casey Schreiner. Check out all new episodes every Thursday over at g4tv.com/MMO. You're welcome.